Hello, Serge here from the Backyard Driving Range. All right, we have a question that came into customer service, and as you know, we really welcome these because this is how I get to answer your questions and get and know what's in your mind, what you're having issues with and problems with, trying to figure out and or do. And so keep sending them into customer service. All right, this one comes from Ron Wetloffer, and Ron says, I followed your instructions for a long time. This is one of the best and makes more sense than ever, your swing plane. And this is he wrote this question in relevant to the daily that was recently done, where the title is "You Must Have a Square Club Face at Address." All right, so he's saying that was even better than swing plane. I didn't realize its importance, nor did I follow this procedure until now, even though I've always played the game for enjoyment forever. This lesson should preface most all at the start. Respectfully, Ron Wetfowler. All right, now with this, I was just happened to be reading an article the other day about in the golf world, and it was talking about some of these new, shall we say, launch monitors and things, and it was titled Tool Time, and it's from Golf World, March 10th, 2014. All right, and this is the magazine here with it says the equipment issue, and it's got a club, a picture of a head on it, a golf head on it, with like the inner workings of a clock inside, and it also got one on secret weapons or weapons. And as I said, that was the March 14th issue, the March 10th issue of 2014. Okay, so at one point, right in the beginning, on the first page of the article, at the bottom, one of the top teachers is using these to study with when he works with his best pupils, tour players, and many of the tour players have bought this. So now they're practicing, and they're using these launch monitors to tell them, and it tells them their path, their face angle at address, and a number of things about what's happening with the ball. It tells them their angle of attack, the launch angle of the ball, and it can tell them the spin rate and pretty much read out exactly how far the ball flew in the air. So this article starts out by saying this teacher got an email from an email or a text from one of his top students, and basically he was standing there talking with a friend, and a friend said, well, what was that all about? And he says, in his text he said, his path was 0, which means he was dead on line. He didn't have an inside or an outside path. He was dead on line at impact. His path was 0, and his face was 2 degrees open, he explains. So the ball was starting a little right with a little bit of cut. I wrote back, awesome, love those numbers, can't wait to see you tomorrow. Okay, now, then a little bit farther on in the article, they go on, and the final paragraph, the final last sentence or two in the paragraph basically says this instructor is saying, he's talking about how you learn, how this machine can help you really learn about your golf swing and everything else. And it said, then he says, then he would just be able to find it in the dirt the way Ben Hogan did. And all the learning experts are saying that that's where true learning is done, from just doing it, trial and error. These launch machines tears down methods and model instructions. Okay, well, I don't know about you, but a lot of the experts I've talked to about learning, and I've been saying this for as long as any of you have been coming here, and as long as I've basically been teaching, that you really don't learn a golf swing in the dirt. I think that's bogus, it's garbage, and trial and error is not the way to learn. How many times have I said this is the only golf swing that is not built on opinion, supposition, speculation, trial and error? It's built on fact. Now naturally you can get some good fact out of these launch monitors, but the point is you have to first and foremost understand what is the concept of impact. So let's go back to this. He had a 0 path that approached the ball, and he had a 2 degree open club face, which means he said the ball started right and was cutting. Do I want my ball to start right on my target and cut? Even if I was playing a cut, I would want it to start a little left of my target so we cut to the target. All right? So the point is let's go back to the number one issue about hitting a golf ball. And this is the way I start most any seminars or most anything when I start talking about the golf swing and trying to figure out and lay the groundwork for the fact, the number one fact about hitting a golf ball. And somebody the other day asked me, how did I start figuring all this out? And I said, I figured it out. I started figuring out by asking what has to happen, why does it happen, how do you make it happen? All right, so the what has to happen is I want to hit the ball relatively straight and solid, right? The Search for the Perfect Golf Swing said that on the first page of the first chapter, Dr. Alistair Cochran, who wrote that book, he was asked by the Royal Society of Golf in Great Britain to study the golf swing and see if he can come up with some answers that hopefully can get everybody towards the middle of the road, in the white line in the middle, not on both sides. And as I've said, you've heard me say, I'm on one side of the street, just about everybody else is on the other. All right, but what I teach on that side of the street is basically the middle of the road. We figured that out. So, and I started figuring it out when I read this book by The Search for the Perfect Golf Swing, and he said 3 things have to happen to the good golf shot. The club has to approach the ball on the aiming line, strike it on the line and be square, leave on the line accelerating. I should say 4 things. And the 4th one is hit the ball solid or in a sweet spot while doing the first 3. On, square and solid. And he said that a relatively good shot, was a relatively straight shot. So right off the bat, the statement here about where it says that he had 0 path, that's correct. But 2 degrees open club face, starting it right at the target, and in a cutting is not a relatively good golf shot. All right, according to that definition. All right. So what's missing there? Approaching the club ball, approaching the ball on the aiming line, strike it on the line, and be square to the target. Leave on the line accelerating. We can't, and so we know that he could have left, but the face was still open. All right, and because he was hitting a high cut, he was hitting a cut, starting right and going and still cutting. All right, so right there you're defining the number one thing of what we want to do to hit a good golf shot. So if you're defining the number one thing, how can you truly have the swing that we should be searching for, that you should want to give you the optimum ball strike, to hit the ball with the optimum shot, which is relatively straight, on, square and solid? If you defy those, you are messing with things. So yeah, you might maybe learn in the dirt in the sense that you can hit a lot of them, hit enough balls and try to figure it out. But then if you have problems, like what I say a lot of times, what's rule number 5? If you hit a bad shot, what am I doing wrong? The answer is, who cares? Go back to the fundamentals and the basics and of the swing, of the setup and the swing. So right off the bat, the point is if you start listening to these naysayers and they're coming up and they're telling you that learning the swing is in the dirt, yeah, you might learn it there, but you know where the first place to learn the swing is? You got to get it up here. You got to first off know what the laws are and know what a good setup is, and then know what a good swing is and why it has to be that way. And once you all understand all of those whys, and that's the one thing I taught. I teach any student that comes to me, I teach them the whys, and any teacher, especially that wants to get certified, the first thing I teach them is you find a problem in the setup, in the swing, or just in the swing, and then you say to yourself, why did that happen? And then when you got an answer for that, why did that happen? You keep winding it back till there's no more whys, and usually that comes back to setup all the time, because the setup determines the motion. All right. So the big thing with today's lesson is, and just go back to how almost every single one of you Surgites out there, all over the entire Surge nation, which is all over the world, all right. What's the number one thing that you pretty much said, or I've heard at least, no telling how many thousands and thousands and thousands of times people said, as soon as I read what you were talking about, they said, it made so much sense. I had to give this a try. It made so much sense. So what sense is the sense? What is the sense that it's making? Right off the bat, you knew it conformed to the way your body's designed to move, because you said that sounds right about the way my body moves, and therefore I should swing. And it sounds right about the laws of physics that I know of, like gravity, acceleration, momentum, action, reaction. You don't have to be an engineer and a physicist to know about the basic things of gravity, right? There's almost anybody, even that knows that if I'm holding this club up like this or anything and I let go of it, it's going to fall, right? Gravity, number one law in the universe. All the other laws work around gravity. So the whole key here is to keep an open mind, understand that what has to happen. The number one thing you always want to be doing is the thing that hits the ball best. And we know that is on, square and solid. No doubt about it. No refuting that. That's fact. No fiction. All fact. And that's all we deal with here. Fact. And when you stay and you use the fact, the correct fact that's supported by science, both for your body, your biomechanical, anatomical design, and your golf club, and you use your body in the right positions to make the right swing, to move this club correctly, so that you can be on, square and solid impact, you will start hitting the ball more solid and straight, and therefore playing better golf and shooting lower scores. Because not only does it makes sense because it's correct. That's it for the search for today, and I'll be speaking with you all again soon.